This is Sue Jackson of the Book by Book blog, here with another Friday Reads. So I had to record a little early this week, so some of these I may be finishing by around Friday, but this is what I've been reading this week. So I am wrapping up Big Book Summer. This is my annual reading challenge that I host every summer, and the idea is to read books of 400 or more pages. I've kind of lost count. I don't know how many I've gotten through, but some of my biggest ones are the ones that I'm finishing up right now. So, of course, that mostly means Anna Karenina. I've been working on this one all month long. As you can see, I'm getting close. I'm almost there. By Leo Tolstoy, of course. And this is my first time reading any classic Russian novel. I don't know why, but we didn't cover these in school, probably because they're so big. My copy is actually only about 600 pages, but they're very densely written pages and it's a very large book, as I think you can tell. It's bigger than my head. So this is keeping me busy. I think most copies of the book are more like 900 pages, 8 to 900 pages. So it's basically a Russian soap opera. It's set in the 19th century. It focuses mainly on the nobility, the aristocratic class. So there are counts and princes, and it's interesting that the title is Anna Karenina because it's actually about a lot of different characters. Anna is one of them, and we do follow her story throughout the book, but it's just as equally about some of the other characters as well. One of my favorites is a man named Levin, who is a gentleman farmer, lives out in the countryside. One of the reasons I like him is he loves nature. And I don't want to spoil anything, but once he gets married, I really like his wife too, and I like their relationship. So I think I'm enjoying that storyline the best. But it kind of moves back and forth between different characters, following their lives. It's actually been easier to read than I expected it to. It is certainly long, but the chapters are short. The language is easy to understand. There are some sections on politics that kind of tend to go on and on. The aristocratic class apparently had very long philosophical discussions on politics and economics and agriculture. So some of those sections can go a little too long, but for the most part, I'm very much enjoying it. Should be finishing it by Monday, Labor Day, which is the end of Big Book Summer. Despite being wrapped up in Anna Karenina, I actually picked up another big book at the library last week, Dragon Hoops by Jean Lewin Yang. This is a graphic novel that I've been meaning to read. I've heard wonderful things about it. I know it's been nominated for awards. I think it's won some awards. And I was glad for the chance to finally read it. Our library just recently opened up for browsing, so last weekend my husband and I couldn't turn down a chance to look around and each get a book out, even though we have hundreds of books upstairs that we haven't read yet. But Dragon Hoops is an interesting book. So as I said, it's a graphic novel. It's the author's in the book, and he is a teacher and a comic book writer, and he is, in the book, he's writing a book about basketball, which is what this book is about. So the author is kind of the framework around this story, and then the story itself centers on the basketball team at the high school where he teaches. So the author admittedly says he's not much of a sports guy, doesn't really follow basketball, doesn't even know much about it. So the book is really interesting because it's following his trajectory at getting to know the sport and to better understand it. as he's following the players and their season and the coach. So it involves interviews with the coach and the players, recaps of some of their big games, but he also gets into the history of basketball. For each of the players that he highlights, he looks back at their personal history and also kind of their ethnic history and where they come from. So it's a very interesting book covering a lot of territory. Like the author, I am not really a sports person, not really into basketball, don't even know that much about it, but I'm enjoying this. So okay, here's to show you some of the drawings. Here's a page where he's talking about the history of basketball. Here he's recapping one of their current games. And it's not all game action, you know, he's also talking about, this is about the coach's background, how he grew up, how he became a basketball player and later a coach. So I'm really enjoying it very much. And since it's a graphic novel, the reason I am able to read it along with Anna Karenina is it's a graphic novel, so I can read like 5 minutes at a time, kind of squeeze it in between the cracks. So one last big book to fit in this summer. And finally, I am listening to one last audio big book for the summer, A Better Man by Louise Penny. Now, I have a lot of friends who are huge fans of Louise Penny, who read every one of her books as soon as it's released. I've only read the first book in her series about Inspector Gamache, book 1, Still Life, which I happened to read for a book group, I guess 2 years ago now. So I am not at all caught up on this series. A Better Man is actually book 17, so I've missed a little bit in between, but I'm really enjoying it. So this answers the question of whether you have to read the books in order. You don't necessarily. I'm sure there are some things in the ongoing story that I'm missing because I've missed some of the books, but for the most part, you know, I am fully immersed in the story. As with all of her books, it's about Inspector Gamache, who is with the Quebec police force, and in this case, they're in the middle of catastrophic 100-year flooding in the whole region. So that's going on, and then in the midst of that, they're investigating a missing woman. So it's got kind of these two parallel but interrelated story tracks, the floods and trying to prevent damage from the floods, as well as trying to investigate this missing woman in the midst of a natural disaster. So I'm loving it so far. It's been excellent on audio. This is the first Louise Penny I've listened to on audio, and I really like it a lot. So there is some involvement from the town of Three Pines, which I know from the first book, and of course following the case that he's trying to solve. I'm really enjoying it. By Friday, I might have finished it. I'm getting toward the end, and the suspense has been great. She's a wonderful storyteller, wonderful writer. So that's A Better Man by Louise Penny. So that's what I've been reading. What are you reading this weekend? Please let me know in the comments down below.